Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurston. This is Before the Box Score. Firmly in off season. Talk about transfer portal time. Oh, the losses. Oh, the gains. We'll see. Nathan Hurst. I'm back. I was not in the transfer portal. Did not even dip my toe into it. Just rehabbing. How are you doing? Good show last week. How are you doing?
Doing all right. You know, still recovering from the March Madness that wasn't. But, you know, unfortunately, Dan and I 2 weeks ago tried to will the Tigers to a victory with our predictions, and it didn't turn out that way. So, you know, we'll eventually get over it, but the wound is still raw.
I stopped caring about Missouri basketball in 2012, and it's really done me a lot of good, I will say. So apologies for all of you who care. I am sad that they lost, but it's not killing me nearly as much as most people, like this guy over here. But, you know, it's the transfer portal era, man. You just rebuild, you do it again, right? That's all you got to do.
You know, it only takes two or three dudes to. I mean, just look at this last year's team.
Yeah.
You know, it only took two or three new dudes, and it made all the difference. So
Yeah.
there's always next year. That's the Mizzou basketball motto.
Well, it's certainly easier to do it in basketball than it is in football. So let's talk about football. The transfer portal, it giveth, taketh away. And yesterday, it tooketh away. Good old Drew Pyne, our maybe the best single game quarterback in the history of Missouri football. Apologies to Darius Outlaw. He is gone. He came into Mizzou last year, late of Notre Dame for a couple of years in Arizona State. Definitely came in as an insurance policy to Brady Cook, with the potential, maybe, of him taking over once Mr. Cook graduated. But we concluded spring ball, and Drew Pyne said, "See, I'm going to look for my fourth school in 4 years." So that's what he is doing. There's a lot of conversation around this, about his departure and what it means, but just kind of the knee-jerk take here, Hurst. What were your thoughts when you saw that Mr. Pyne was heading out of town?
Not surprised whatsoever. He was brought in to be a backup when Sam Horn got hurt last year, and Sam Horn is back and healthy. And they also brought in another player. Actually, they brought in two new players. And I think he just saw the writing on the wall that at best he was looking at third string going into next season. At worst, probably fourth string. And if we're going to really look at it realistically, he probably was going to be fourth string with the 4-star freshman coming in and Matt Zollers. And, God forbid we get to the point where the third string quarterback is having to play. But if that was the case, it probably would not have been Drew Pyne. It probably would have been Matt Zollers. So, best of luck to him. He's going to go somewhere, hopefully, that he can play. I mean, it probably will be stepping down a level. He's got 1 year of eligibility left, so I don't think he's going to want to jump in as a backup anywhere. So, I see him going to a G5 school and being able to step in and start immediately, and hope that works out for him.
Yeah. I mean, follow the timeline. Follow the timeline. When did Sam Horn get hurt? He got hurt on February 18th, 2024. When did Drew Pyne join the team? March 10th, 2024. They probably weren't going to take him if Sam Horn was healthy. And yes, Drew Pyne defeated Oklahoma. And salute to you, sir. You always have that in the memory banks of Missouri fans, certainly mine. You always had that night where he briefly turned into Tom Brady for about half a quarter. But yeah, that's just that's kind of, there was a very clear ceiling. And there's a higher floor just because he was an older, experienced player, but he was never going to be second string, let alone first, especially once they brought in Mr. Prebula. So yeah, I don't know where he's going to end up. Doesn't really matter. I hope he likes it. It's not Missouri's fault or Missouri's plan anymore. We don't have to worry about it, but I hope he does well. I know Eli Drinkwitz came out after the Oklahoma game and defended Mr. Pyne, and how people were kind of second guessing and talking down about his abilities, especially after the Alabama game. But Yeah, for one night, Eli Drinkwitz was right, and for one night, Drew Pyne was exactly what Missouri needed, and you'll always have that. So we appreciate that. Overall, though, I mean, this is yet another quarterback loss. I know if you want to take pot shots at Eli Drinkwitz, quarterback is a great place to do it. You can argue that he's never started a quarterback that he has recruited, and that's technically true because Brady Cook committed before Eli Drinkwitz got here. And, all the high school kids that he has recruited so far have left, and all the transfers he brought in could not beat out Brady Cook. So, Hurst, is this just another point in that tally, or is this just kind of a nothing at the end of the day?
I think it's kind of nothing. I mean, he was brought in to be a backup with the notion, and I'm sure he was fully aware that he would be able to compete for the starting job this upcoming year, when he committed, and he did have that opportunity. I'm sure that they gave him just as much of a shake as everybody else, but he also showed his kind of level in the games he did play this past year, and that level, while he did beat Oklahoma, wasn't what you're really looking for moving forward. So that plus the fact that they brought back and or returned from injury two guys with certainly higher ceilings, really three guys if you count Matt Zollers, though we don't really know for sure yet because we haven't seen him on the field. Everyone knew what this was, and I don't think anyone was misled or lied to. And I'm sure he made a nice little amount of NIL money in his year here, and got to play in some SEC games, and that's always great. And we'll see where he lands from there. So it's kind of how the business is run these days. And I think at least I want to think, but I'm pretty confident that it was pretty above the board and transparent from the start what this was.
I would certainly hope so. And even if you count Drew Pyne into this group of transfer portal losses, obviously we're not done yet. There's going to be more probably. But that caveat in there, this is going to be one of the lowest transfer portal loss years of the transfer portal era for Missouri. Drew Pyne makes 12 guys who have departed the team. Do you know what the last lowest number was before 12?
Like 15, maybe?
Well, it was also 12. 2021, 2022, they lost 12 guys. But think about it in these terms. I mean, 2020, the 2020, 2021 cycle, they lost 19. And 22, 23, they lost 19. And 23, 24, they lost 15. So 12 is very manageable, especially when you're bringing in 15 guys. Eli Drinkwitz has done a pretty good job of keeping the guys that he wants to keep. Of course, he talks about production over potential, which is what he has prioritized. And it seems to be working. Or at least we think it is, because he's won 21 games in the past 2 years. Let's revisit that this year if we have low turnover, and we'll see how the record goes. But until it doesn't work, you give him credit for having it do work, right? That's what we're talking about. So, best of luck to Drew Pyne. He is one of 12, and I know it's still early. We still got 4 guys that are in the portal who have not been claimed. So Drew Pyne now, and then Aiden Glover, the quarterback from Collierville, Tennessee, Philip Roche from Indiana, and then of course Luke Bauer, the punter. I don't know if they're going to get picked up, but usually Missouri guys get picked up by somebody, even if it's like super obscure D2 schools. Like where did Riley Williams go? Edward Waters went to a school called Edward Waters. Even he got picked up. So you'd like to think maybe the spring window they can find a home, because they're good kids. They just want to play football. Let them do it. But yeah, it's just quiet news, man. It's just not a whole lot going on, which, by the way, is good. You do not want a lot of news in this time of the year. Eli Drinkwitz is going to other sports and watching those. The staff is off. They're taking some breaks from the constant grind of recruiting, scouting, keeping your own players, all that good stuff. So yeah, there's not a lot going on, and that's fine. But when you have nothing going on, then what the heck are you supposed to do when you host a Missouri football podcast? Can't talk about basketball all day. Can't talk about the consistency of rain over the past couple of weeks, which has been great. So we're going to talk about things that are inspired by the news. And this week it's transfer portal. Yeah. Specifically, our favorite transfers into Missouri. Because why not go down memory road, talk about some dudes, remember some guys, talk about the impact transfers or just our favorites that have joined Mizzou from other schools. So here are the parameters. Nathan Hurst, no JUCOs. Tristan Newsom, not eligible for this. He's went to a JUCO and then he came here. That's happened before. That's not unique to the transfer portal era. Also, no walk-ons. So Cody Schrader cannot be our number one and can't be all your number ones either. We are talking about guys who came from the FCS or FBS ranks and came to Mizzou on scholarship to play for the football Tigers. Those are the parameters. We're taking it from the transfer portal era, which is roughly middle of 2018, so technically 2019, up through the current year. So, favorite 5 transfers of the transfer portal era. Nathan Hurst, what is your number 5?
My number 5, and this also goes with number 4, and they could probably be interchangeable, but my number 4 was here 1 year longer, so I bumped him up to number 4. But number 5, Realis George, the transfer from Miami. He was a fullback at Miami, got to Mizzou, beefed up even more, and became a really solid, steady defensive tackle as a part of that great 2023 4-man rotation that the Tigers had up the middle. He was great. He also had a personality on him and was very pro Mizzou by the time that he left. You could tell that he really enjoyed his time here. That's also a theme that you'll see, I think, from both of our answers here. Guys that really embraced Mizzou, coming from somewhere else, but quickly made themselves true sons. And Realis George tops that list.
Yeah, I liked Realis George. That's just a fun story, man. Starting out as a 2-star fullback and becoming a kick-ass defensive tackle in the SEC, like that's pretty great. And yeah, to your point, he liked it here, which was even better. My number 5, I had a really hard time with this. I came up with the idea and then I immediately struggled with my idea. There's just so many characters, so many guys, so many good players that you could pick from the portal. I was actually shocked at how long my list was when I just went through and started naming some of the guys that I liked and wanted to put on there. There's no way I could just get it to 5. So I was like, okay, well, how do I categorize these? Because that's what I always do. And really, when you're looking at these transfers, they kind of fall into, for me, one of 3 buckets. Okay. The first bucket that I kind of fell in love with was the group that I call the call-ups, right? Guys who succeeded at a lower level, who Missouri are like, hey, we want you to do that in the SEC. And they come up and they do it. And like, that's what the transfer portal is for. That's one of the biggest things. Letting guys who do really, really well, give them a chance on the biggest stage to show what they can do. And I really like those stories. So from that bucket, Caleb Evans, cornerback, former Tulsa cornerback, current Minnesota Viking. I can't remember if he's still active.
He was last year, but I don't know in the offseason if he's still on the roster.
Yeah. Well, he was drafted in the 4th round of the 2022 NFL draft. He was picked number 118, went to Minnesota. He spent 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 at Tulsa. He was an awesome corner. He's a lockdown corner along with another guy who could have potentially been on the list, but I did not have him on there, Ali Green. But the tandem were awesome corners in the American Conference at Tulsa. They followed their position coach when Drinkwitz strategically hired him on to be a defensive backs coach. Caleb Evans came on, and he started immediately. He only missed 1 game in his lone season at Missouri. He played 581 snaps, 31 tackles, a tackle for loss just for fun, run stuff for fun, 6 passes broken up, 1 interception, and of course he was drafted in the 4th round by the Minnesota Vikings. Like, that is a story. That is a success story for the transfer portal. It's a success story for Mizzou. I don't know how he felt about the Tigers, but he graduated from here and he represents them in the NFL. And I think that's just a great story. So Caleb Evans is my number 5. And it's just a fun guy. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a really good player. And actually he was the lesser known of the 2 when Ali Green and Caleb Evans transferred. Ali Green was really the guy that I think a lot of people were really excited about. And they're like, oh, we got this Caleb Evans guy too. That's cool. Great. Depth at the quarterback position. It turned out Evans was by far and away the better player, at least at Mizzou, and went on to play. A little research tells me that Evans was waived by the Vikings in November, but the Panthers claimed him in November. So From
Okay.
what I can tell, he's currently on the Panthers roster.
Okay.
Yeah, great story, great player. Kind of the first in a little run there of defensive backs that Mizzou got drafted. Kind of started that trend, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, if you want to talk about the secret to Drinkwitz' success, at least in the first couple of years that we've had him, and the difference between that and certainly Odom, but definitely Pinkel, is the fact that he's been able to recruit bring onto campus NFL caliber defensive backs, something that just Pinkel rarely was able to do, and certainly Odom could not do. So yeah, there's a lot wrapped up in Evans and all these sort of guys who he's brought in. But yeah, it's a good story there. So that was our number 5. So Caleb Evans for me. Realis George for Hurst. Hurst, what is your number 4?
My number 4, I kind of alluded to it a little bit, but another defensive tackle, Christian Williams, transfer from Oregon. He ended up being at Mizzou for 3 full years. And he was one of my favorites, not only because he was really good and was here for 3 years, but he really turned into one of, if not the leader of the defense by the time he left this past year. Really just a solid dude, leader in the locker room, leader on the field. Really kind of stabilized the middle of the Mizzou defense, and I think he's a little slept on in terms of having any kind of an NFL future. I think he could. I don't think he'll get drafted necessarily, but I think he could sign after the draft and find his way into a camp, and maybe find his way onto a roster, just because good big defensive tackles are not something that come along very often.
No, I do like Christian Williams a lot, and the fact that he played and started in multiple years, like that's really the way that transfer solidifies kind of his reputation at the second school that he ends up at. I mean, he played 13 games and 420 snaps in 22, 13 games and 411 snaps in 23, 13 games, 502. Dude did not miss a game in his entire career with Missouri. He finished 122 tackles. That's great for an interior guy. 18 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 35 run stuffs. My goodness. 4 passes broken up and 2 forced fumbles. Like, that's pretty good in my book. Like, he's no Justin Smith, but I don't know. Well, I mean, you talked about his size, kind of the size and speed and strength that comes along with it. I mean, are we thinking he's going to get drafted in the draft? I mean, is this possible?
I would be surprised. I mean, I hope he does. This draft is very, very deep along the defensive line, both for the both tackles and edge, which is kind of one of the reasons Johnny Walker, I think, didn't make the combine. Is it's so deep with those guys that that there's just a lot to go around. That said, that doesn't mean a team who didn't draft one won't sign him as a free agent after the draft and give him a shot on a roster. And I think he would have a good chance of at least making a practice squad, if not a real roster, because he's a good solid player. He's not going to blow you away, but he can be a run stuffer. He can be your kind of second line defensive lineman, which those guys are really valuable in the league.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I like him a lot. So that was your number 4. My number 4 is a guy named Michael Maietti. Just a Jersey kid trying to make it in the SEC. This is another guy that falls in the call-up category. Okay. Started early in his Rutgers career, starting center. Is it because Rutgers sucks? Listener, I don't know. Maybe. But he's kind of undersized. He wasn't even 300 pounds. He was barely 6'1". Just a Jersey kid playing in, Catholic ball in the East Coast. Not really, you get some good kids from Jersey, but certainly not ones that are undersized. And he comes to Mizzou. Do you remember why he wanted to come to Mizzou? Do you remember one of the big things that he cited?
I do not.
He wanted to play in a bowl game.
That's so cute.
Like, that's what he wanted. And you weren't going to get that at Rutgers, at least not when he was there. So he comes in, he starts immediately. And like that first year, you remember how rough that first year was for him, right? That's 21. That's Tyler Beatty. And you're like, this isn't going to happen. Like, Missouri's hovering around 5 wins. Like, are we going to get to 6? and they get that 6th win against Florida, right? The DPJ, right? The Connor Bazelak, why are we throwing for 2 when we literally have nobody to throw to? And Daniel Parker Jr. catches it. And I always remember this because the camera zooms out a little bit. It just goes up on DPJ and the fireworks are going off. And who's flexing and like Hulk roaring? It's Mike Maietti because he's like, I'm going to a bowl game. And I was like, oh man, that's so good. That makes me so happy for him.
The exact screenshot you're referring to was my computer desktop screensaver shot for at least a year.
Yeah.
Him jumping up with his hands in the air, Daniel Parker Jr. holding the ball, like yelling into the heavens.
Yeah,
it was whoever took that photo. Not sure. I wish I could give them credit if I knew, but it was great, and it was an awesome image for sure.
Yeah, and I just, again, it's another one of those stories. Like it's a kid who's good, and like under the old system, he would have just willowed at in Piscataway, and who knows what would have happened. But yeah, he did really well at Mizzou. I got a look in NFL camps. I think he was on a couple practice squads before getting cut. Like, I know it didn't work out professionally, but he got what he wanted. He got the full college experience. He went to the hometown school. He went to the bigger school. He succeeded at both. Like, that's a story I can get behind. So tip of the cap to Mike Maietti. I remember you, man. You're good stuff. Okay, so let's go to what is it? Number 3. Hurst, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a chaos agent. He was only here for 1 year, but he was very memorable in the year that he was here, both for many good reasons, also for a few, pull your hair out reasons as well. But that was one Mr. Thor himself, Blaze Aldridge, linebacker, transferred in from Rice. And he often didn't know what he was supposed to do, and that turned out well sometimes, and a lot of times it didn't turn out great. But he was really fun, and you could tell that he really was just trying really hard, and he would light his hair on fire and then just run around and hope good things would happen. And so I appreciate his play style. That was in the 2021 season whose defense was not great. If you'll remember, that was the year that Tennessee ran up more than 60 points on Faroe, including like 400 rushing yards, and it was it was a great. But he was like at least interesting. He was the one interesting part of thing about that defense, which I appreciated.
Yeah, that Tennessee game featured arguably Mizzou's best defensive lineman, Mekhi Wingo, lining up 4 yards off the ball and then running towards the line of scrimmage every play.
That was the Steve Wilkes. I don't have a clue what to do, but just go, just run, you stand here and run.
I don't think teaching was Steve Wilkes' strong suit. I'll put that out there. I don't think he could teach what he wanted to do. And when you're Blaze Aldridge, when you're kind of like that golden retriever, he's like, I gotta go get it. You just gotta point me in the right direction, and no one's gonna point him in the direction. He's like, I'm gonna go get it, and he just did, and it was great. My current boss, who shall remain nameless because I did not get his permission to share this story, so you're welcome. He was a former defensive coordinator in college football, and we were talking stories a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned a player that he had who had 22 tackles in a game, including 8 tackles for loss. And he said it was the first player he ever benched after a 22 tackle performance. And so Monday rolls around, the guy sees that he's no longer starting. He's like, Coach, what the hell? I had 22 tackles last game. Why are you benching me? He's like, because he gave up 6 touchdowns. And I was like, oh, that's Blaze Aldridge. And lo and behold, that is my number 3 as well. I love Blaze Aldridge. He is me playing linebacker in the NCAA football series because I'm like, I don't want to play the hook. I don't want to go in the B gap. I just want to blow you the hell up. And I got my fast linebacker. I'm going to go. And everyone else can figure it out. And that's how Blaze Aldridge played. And, it was fun as hell. I want to go over some stat. I don't know if you realize that he led the country in tackles for loss in 2019 at Rice.
I did not know that.
Rice. He had 102 tackles that season. He then had 103 combined tackles in Missouri in 2021. 18 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. Like, it was literally all or nothing. And I don't know how many assignments he blew. And I don't know if Steve Wilkes could even figure out how to tell him not to do that. But it led to some very entertaining football. And at the end of the day, if you can't be good, be entertaining. And boy, Blaze Aldridge is up there. I agree with you.
Yeah, we can laugh about it here in 2025. I wasn't laughing about it as much in 2021,
No,
and he very well may have been the sole reason Steve Wilkes decided to opt to go back to the NFL. But it was yeah, he was in hindsight definitely a favorite.
I know. He was very frustrated, but I do like it. I remember BK and I sitting here going, "What the hell are you doing, man?" But yeah, it was explosive. That is for sure. All right, so Blaze Aldridge is number 3 for both of us. That was fun. Hurst, who is your number 2?
Number two, considering continuing in the same but probably better vein, a similar player, but yeah, better. Tyron Hopper, transferring in from Florida. He was kind of the direct replacement for Blaze Aldridge, whose eligibility was up. He turned out to be a much better overall player, evidenced by the fact that he was drafted in the 3rd round of the NFL and is still on an NFL roster. Really good player. Here for 2 years. Yeah, he got injured halfway through his senior year. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to kind of finish that off, but just a stud, just explosive in all the good ways that Blaze Aldridge was explosive, but also knew where he was supposed to be all the time. Just kind of a steady presence, but could blow you up in the backfield. You never knew when the next big tackle for loss would come. Just really fun player to watch all the time, not just some of the time.
I mean, the 2023 season is kind of is the last time we saw Hopper, and yeah, he was definitely limited by injury at that point. But I sometimes I forget how good he was in 22. Let me rattle off this stat line. So he played 13 games in 2022. That's 730 snaps on the year. Okay, that's almost all of them if I had to guess. 87 tackles. 16 tackles for loss, which again is 2 fewer than what Blaze Aldridge did. So yeah, just as havocy. He had 3 sacks, 14 run stuffs, 3 passes broken up, an interception, and a forced fumble. Like, yeah, that is, you are everywhere. And he I mean, I know that defense had to do everything in 2022 because the offense could barely do anything at all. But he was great. And all those guys really clicked under Blake Baker, and just we're going to meet it with aggression, blitzing, and he thrived in that situation. And it sucks that he didn't get to finish strong in his senior year. But I mean, he was good his senior year too. I mean, he had 200 fewer snaps, but 62 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 8 run stuffs, and 3 passes broken up. Like even hobbled, he was still pretty good. So I'm glad he got drafted. I'm glad he played here, and yeah, I'm with you. That's a good one. I like Tyron Hopper. I would put him under kind of one of my other buckets of stories, which is like kind of the elite blue chips that Eli Drinkwitz can convince to come back. Maybe the ones that couldn't see the field or got thrown into the Alabama Georgia machine and didn't want to wait anymore. Of course, Tyron was at Florida, but the highly rated guys who struggled to see the field and come back to Mizzou. I like that bucket too. And so that's what I would classify him as. My number 2, and this is a different bucket. This is the comeback home group, guys who Mizzou recruited very heavily out of high school, missed coming out, and then got them back once they figured out that they didn't want to be at the team they went to. And this guy's actually still on the team. It is Caden Green. I like Caden Green for many reasons. Obviously, I'm a story guy. I've got the story behind everything, but like, think about Caden Green, local guy, right? Big blue chipper. Mizzou was recruiting him hard, and he goes where? He goes to Oklahoma. Goes to Oklahoma, where Missouri and Oklahoma, we've got that recruiting thing, right? Because the west side of the state in Kansas City, we got former Oklahoma guy there sending them all to the Sooners, and Missouri can never crack that nut. And Caden Green's just a long list of guys who go there. And he gets there and he starts. And he still picks Missouri. He comes back. Now, whether you want to call that tampering or just upgrade in NIL, I don't particularly care, because he came back home as a highly rated blue chipper and started at the exact same position that he was playing in Oklahoma, and was arguably the best offensive lineman Missouri had last year. Obviously, the story is not completed yet; is still yet to be written as what's going to happen this next year, which I'm assuming he's going to go to the draft. But the story is great, and he's a really good player, and get to stick it in the eye of Oklahoma, which is always fun. So Caden Green is my number 2, and between him and Hopper, I mean, I take both those guys. Those are both good stories.
Yeah, absolutely. King Green, I think, is by far the biggest transfer recruiting win that Drinkwitz has had, just based on where he was coming from. And this wasn't a Tyron Hopper style where he just wasn't playing as much as he wanted to at a blue blood and wanted to have that opportunity. No, he was, as you said, starting. He started more than half of the games, and it wasn't one of those start and then get benched. He was on the bench and then earned a starting spot and started throughout the rest of the year, and yet still chose to come to Mizzou. And he had other options besides staying at Oklahoma too. I mean, other big time options, and chose Mizzou. So definitely Eli Drinkwitz flexing his recruiting muscle and NIL muscle as well, I'm sure, to get him here. But I mean, he might be. Now, it's tough to say that because Armand Minbu may or will go in the first round the draft, but he may turn out to be the most talented offensive lineman that Mizzou has had. I don't know when. I mean, in a long time. We'll see how this story plays out because, as you said, it's not over yet. But he's got that type of same first rounds type of ceiling if he can reach it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Armand Minbu is great. I'm not taking away from him, and I certainly don't want anyone to think I'm slighting him by saying that Green was arguably better. I will say though, Minbu had a 1.8% pressure rate on his dropbacks. Caden Green 0.8. Armand Minbu, as far as run blocking accuracy, he had a 1.2%. Caden Green was 1.3. Like right there, they were very, very similar in what they did. Now, obviously, Green's on the interior versus Minbu on the outside, so the degree of difficulty is different, and it's the styles that you're going up against is different, but still the production right there. So I can't wait to see what he can do in a second year on this team, especially since transfers, much like freshmen, take a little bit of a leap in progress in that second year. So we'll see what happens. Okay, number 1 on your list, Nathan Hurst. Drum roll is who?
This one was the easiest for me to come up with, and that was Theo Weiss with a bullet.
Yeah.
He checks all the boxes. Coming from a great story, coming from a blue blood, wants a chance to start and shine where he wasn't getting that at the case. He comes, he does start, he does shine. And at least in this past year, he's certainly the most productive receiver on Mizzou's team, but may have actually played the best as well of all the Mizzou receivers this year. Really kind of earned himself probably will get drafted. I think he'll get drafted later in the draft, which coming out of Oklahoma, no one thought this guy would have a chance to get drafted. And then beyond that, just like Realis George, seemed to really love his time here, and kind of he considers Mizzou his alma mater. I mean, he went 2 years here. He graduated from here. You'd hope so, but you can tell that he really loved his time here, and I think we will see him back in the future, no matter where his career takes him.
Yeah. He's my number 1 too. For all the reasons you said. Also, stick it in the eye of Oklahoma. That's always fun. Yeah, he was the best. He was the best receiver this year. I know Luther Burden was utilized differently, just because he was being covered a lot differently than he was in 2023. But we stepped up in some key games. He had I think he had multiple 100-yard receiving games. Certainly he had one. And yeah, that's kind of what you expect from your veteran receiver. Obviously, we all wish it was better from a productivity standpoint, but yeah, I don't know. He seemed to really like it here, and he had multiple years here, and he was very good. And he checks the Blue Star acquisition box there, which is really cool. And yeah, if you like it here, you're gonna. Oh my god, that's a shortcut to the top, man. Be good, be talented, and like it here. That's easy. That's really easy. So yeah, hey, this is our list. Obviously, you're going to have your list. You can sound off in the comments on what you think would be your favorite transfer. You can use any kind of qualifiers that you want. Did you have anybody that was like right on your list that you didn't include because we did top 5?
I mean, the others two that I would have tossed in there were Jaden Jernigan and Josh Landry. Also,
Yeah.
the other two of that 4-man defensive tackle rotation, I just loved all four of those guys. I think the only real reason George because of his love for Mizzou publicly on social media since he's graduated, has kind of bumped him up there. Than the fact that Christian Williams was here for 3 years and really became a captain and team leader by the time he was done. That's why they pushed those two on the top. But I loved all four of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say Mookie Cooper was almost on my list, and it's not for the production. Obviously, it's not probably not what he wanted, not what any of us wanted, but it's for what it meant, right? Mookie Cooper was kind of that first blue chipper and Missouri native who left and then came back via portal. And you see these athletes, like, you got to see it first, right? Someone's got to be the first. And Mookie was the first to do it. I think that kind of really made it okay for guys to go, okay, I didn't pick him the first time, but like, hey, Mookie went back. I can do it too, and maybe that's speculation on my part, but I think the impact of that, of him doing that, leaving Ohio State to come back home to Missouri, that means a lot. It means a lot when kids are looking at options there. So, not for production, but for what it meant. Mookie Cooper was on my list. I would also put on there Cameron Johnson. He almost was on there. I mean, this is a guy, much like Caleb Evans, followed his position coach, and whether the coach was hired and the player followed, or we really wanted the player and so we hired the coach, like, whatever, not really important, especially since the coach is still here. But, Missouri needed a guard, especially on the right side. I don't know if you know this, but Eli Drinkwitz has started transfer portal guys at right guard almost every single year that he's been here. The only year that he didn't was his first. And so with Connor Wood gone, he went right back in the portal, got a top, All-American, as in like the American Conference, from Houston to slide in and be the starting guard for 2 years. Like, that's great, man. I know he had his one penalty per year or per game kind of thing going on, but like, he was an effective guard in the SEC, and that is not easy to find. And then lastly, once you get past 22, some of these guys are still not finished. But my honorable mention for my tandem, come on, Nate Noel, Marcus Carroll. Like, I almost put them on there. Obviously, it was only a single year, but there was a gap year for running backs, and they both filled it in. And like, God, I would have killed for Nate Noel to have another year of eligibility. Man, I can only imagine what he would have done. But those two stepped up and provided basically the only offense Mizzou had this year. So kudos to them.
Yeah, those are all great picks, and I would have not felt bad about adding any of those guys on there, no doubt. Especially, Nate Noel. If he had one more year, that would be sick. But I mean, it'd be sick if Theo Weiss had one more year, and if Christian Williams had one more year. So you can say that.
Yeah.
If we could bring Cody Schrader back as well, that'd be awesome.
Ifs and buts for candy and nuts, man. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. But and there's new transfers coming in. Like I said, we have 15 new friends that are going to be joining the team this year. I've already got a glimpse of a couple of them. I mean, who knows? Kevin Coleman, he checks the box. Blue chipper, come back home, right? That's pretty cool. Ahmad Hardy, checks the box of the call up. Freshman at Louisiana Monroe, of all places, who's like the only offense, and now he gets to apply his trade at the SEC. Keegan Trost, who's bounced around lower levels in Wake Forest. Damon Wilson, a 5-star from Georgia who got solid field, but like wanted to do more here. Like, you can find these guys, you can put them in these buckets, and like, you can just track that story. And there's a lot of potential here. Or like even Stephen Hall from Washington State. So the story is so much of this. When you're grasping for connecting to your favorite college team, you have these stories from the portal. And then of course, if they're good on top of that, that's even better. But the story's not done. So we'll have to wait and see who else gets onto this list. Like I said, add yours into the comments if you want. Let us know who your favorites were. And, maybe we'll revisit this. Maybe we'll have to update the list after this season. Recurring item? Hurst, write that down. Recurring item.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be adding some of the new guys onto that list.
Yeah. Let's hope. So, that's all we got. You got 39 minutes of a Missouri football podcast when exactly one thing happened. And then we got to remember some dudes. Like, really? It's probably the perfect off-season podcast. and it's free. So you're welcome. But we hope that you join us next time too, because that's going to be the show for today. As always, we appreciate the comments, the downloads, the subscriptions. If you like us, go ahead and smash that like button, give us a follow, right? Subscribe. We love subscriptions. Please do that for us. And of course, if you're on the social medias, you can follow us on there too. You can follow the Rockin' Flagship at Rockin' Nation. Of course, I am at Nate G. Edwards on Twitter. He is at First to Hurst. And if you follow our podcasting outlet at Rockin' Radio, you can do that as well. And if you're venturing over at Blue Sky, we hang out there too sometimes. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. We'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.